Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night, Twitch chat. Welcome back to Let Us Play. I'm your host, Father Evan. It's good to be back with y'all. An emphasis on the good morning today. Hold on, let me turn down the music just a little bit more. There we go. Yeah, emphasis on the good morning today. Yeah, I've got the my Bus Halo staff Christmas luncheon today, so that is the afternoon. So, this is the way we get to stream today. But it's good to be with y'all. Good to see you, Catholic Break. Good to see you, Bad Rocks. Good to see you, Mezuk Mine. Good to see you, Kit. Thank you so much to everyone who's given a lurk right now. Brent, congratulations on claiming the crown of Firstendom, an early morning crown. And Bree, hoy Bree, good to see you. You've redeemed a father joke. I apologize for nothing. So I watched this documentary recently. It was all about walking on coals. Man, it was soul crushing. That is the appropriate response. So anyway, yeah, we're gonna be doing our usual. You need this. I'm glad I could do that for you then, Bree. I hope your day gets better. So we're gonna be diving into some Minecraft. Look at that sunset. I wish I had like Christmas-themed lo-fi beats, but that would have required me to think about it and plan it out. Okay, so I want to keep working on the market today. So I'm gonna knock down a couple of these spruce trees. Some of them can stay by the house in the end anyway, but... I hope I am early. Got a work thing this afternoon. Staff Christmas party, so... would not have been able to stream otherwise. It's a full rich day for me. I go from this to staff meeting to the luncheon. It's gonna be a good day, though. Also, I realized there's something we forgot to put in the blacksmith's space. An anvil. How could we forget an anvil for the blacksmith? Seems like a huge oversight. Morning, Jorb, good to see ya. Do you prefer Jorb or Jorbinicus? Yeah, let's take a look at what we've got. So we could do the Fletcher. Could work on potions, knickknacks, bookstore. Bookstore's gonna be the hard one. Bakery. Laborers, fullers. Don't really care either way. Most people just call you Jorbin. All right. Jorbin it is. Jorb just always makes me think of Coach from Homestar Runner, Coach Z. You done a good job there. So I think we will start with the... Let's start with the bakery. So I currently Wait, what's this one supposed to be? This one doesn't have a sign. I don't remember what this one's supposed to be. Panic. Just looked up Upstart Runner because I've never heard of it. It looks kind of cursed. That was peak internet humor in the early 2000s. I'm not saying it's not cursed. Okay, so the bakery was a lot of birch, so it looks like I'm gonna have to go chop down some birch. That should be enough birch. Let's grab some sticks as well so we can make some fences. Actually, I have an idea for these trapdoors. I just had another idea. I gotta run back, make some signs real quick. Birch signs. I'm also going to extend this bakery a little bit. Hello, Pit of Unspeakable Horrors. Goodbye, Pit of Unspeakable Horrors. Actually put a door in on this one. So what I was thinking is having something like this so you can kind of see the pies but can't steal them. Oh, thank you, Mesozoic Mind. Yeah, I feel like my Advent's been pretty good. It's early. Is it going to be a long stream? No, it's going to be a normal 2-hour stream. It's just I've got a staff Christmas party all afternoon, so I was not going to, and trust me when I say I would not be able to stream after that because I would be too full of good food. Yep, wrong way. So anyway, yeah, this is what I was thinking is like, have an order window and a pickup window at the bakery. You have a open window so the smells can waft out, but you can't just like grab a cake and run. And of course, like all good professional bakeries, this is not even going to be where they bake things. That will all be handled off-site. Yeah, it's been mixed. A lot of good, some bad. It'd be like that. It'd be like that. I hope the good outweighs the bad, though. And I do hope you have a wonderful and Merry Christmas. Oh my, Jorb doesn't know how good Jorb does he? That is a sentence, and I don't know how I feel that I know I can parse it all. I hope your books are moving along nicely, though, Mesozoic Mind. I saw on Twitter you mentioned you got an advanced copy of one, I think, if I remember correctly, and some others are off at the editors. Waking to the Basilica is nice. Yes. Yes, it is. That's why I put the house there. Wait, I need buckets. That's where I need to make some cakes. Advanced copies are currently on their way in the mail. Hey, that's exciting. That's awesome. Congrats. Just publisher would just announce the darn thing. Ooh, that's valid. That is valid. Oh, cows. I need milk. Thank you. I think I have sugar in here. So you're going to say leather? No, no, no. That's what this tool's for. We'll need plenty of leather for the bookstore, though. I have no just raw sugar. And that there would be a culling. I always replenish after a culling. Oh, I need an egg. This is why we have chickens. Gonna grab a pumpkin because we can make a pumpkin pie. Chicken. Egg. I'll just look the other way and you'll spawn leather. There you go. The cows will just be jumping for joy and shouting in excitement at all the leather. Cake. Pumpkin pie. How much cocoa do I need? Oh, just that's oh, that makes a lot of cookies. I didn't realize that made so many cookies. Also, if your cookie is just flour and cocoa, that's not going to be a very good cookie. I'm just saying. Trash cookie. Yeah, it's just going to be like... Well, first of all, there's nothing to bind it. So it's really just going to be a pile of dust. And that's not how you make a tweel. Kitty is fed. He can go fishing anytime he wants. He's just an extremely chatty cat. Which I love. If I could adopt a cat, I think I'd want to adopt a Siamese. If I was able to pick like a individual breed, I'd honestly just be fine with a cat. But Siamese are very talkative. Wait, why am I going that way? I don't need to make anything. Well, I guess actually I do. I need to make a door. Hypno sucks a lot. I want to sleep. Yeah, Nebbies can be chatty too. They can just also be very quiet. There we go. Place the pie. No, cannot place the pie. So I'm gonna need some item frames. Last two cats were rescues too? That's great. That is sweet. Yeah, I would never... If I were in the position to actually get a cat, I would not... I would do a rescue. Item frames. We can make a second cake, why not? I think she's going deaf because she's getting louder. Yeah. That kitty made it. Aw, that's great. Hello, B. Do you like that corner? There we go. We got a little bakery. You can walk up and you're like, yeah, I like a slice of pie and 2 cookies. Man, there's a bakery here in New York City called Levain. Their cookies are huge. He's eating and won't be caught now, which sucks because I sure like petting him, but I'm glad he's healthy outside. That's good. That's good. Younger brother's taking up baking. His girlfriend did a good job teaching him. Nice. It's always good to have a baker in the family. That just happens to be me. Why don't we do the Fletcher next? Chocolate chip pumpkin cake. Oh, yes. One year when I was home for Christmas, I made a spiced fig cake. So good. I've also done Victorian style chocolate pudding. What do I actually need for a Fletcher's table? Oh, just 2 pieces of flint. That's easy. Surely I have some flints. Yeah, let's make 2 of them. But no. Nope, wrong button. I think for inside the shops, I'm gonna pack down the... Okay, I'm back. Welcome back, Jorb. I'll leave the grass for the florist. I feel like that's appropriate. Can these not go another way? No matter what I'm doing, it's always showing the same side. That's interesting. Never really noticed that about Fletcher Stables. Your nephew Nicholas Rex on his 5th birthday. That's sweet. Happy birthday to him. Also, that is an amazing name. Also, I don't know if he's lurking here or not, but happy birthday to Gail. It is, in fact, Gail's birthday. In fact, it's actually a whole lot of birthdays. It is my pastor's birthday. It is my community's founder's birthday. Fortunately, we don't have to give him a cake, but... yeah, December 18th is a popular day. I like what I did here, by the way. I like using these trapdoors like that. December 18th is a great day. What's the O antiphon today? I don't even remember. There we go. That kind of breaks up the pattern there as well. You sing great teacher Paul to Isaac? We should. Okay, what's next? Got a fuller, we got a butcher, we got produce, got laborers, a glacier. I'm thinking knickknacks and glacier. Appears to be made with jungle wood. Is it? No, it's not. Maybe it is. Let's go look. Oh, leader? It makes it... now it sounds like we're... No, they're made of acacia. Now it sounds like we're singing to him like he's great leader of the Communist Party. Oh, leader. Oh, leader of the... Oh, Genshin Marexo, Leader of the Nations. Is that it? That's the OATFON today? I thought you were making a Lead Us, Great Teacher Paul joke there. I wrote a reflection on that. I don't remember what I said because I wrote it in July. Because that's when you actually do your Advent work in the church. So, one of the hip new memes this year, it was the guy at the factory, and like circles coming out, and then there's like a triangle. He's like, I guess we're doing triangles now. That's basically Joseph in today's gospel. He's like, I've got this plan. Just gonna do this quietly. Just gonna move along. And God's like, haha, have a triangle. And he's like, okay, well, I guess we're racing the Son of God now. Welcome back to Lurkin. Guess I'm racing the Savior now. Yeah, exactly. But couldn't you just see that in that meme format? Guess we're doing this now. It's a meme you can't explain to your mom why it's funny. Yeah. Let's make an acacia sign for this one. Not everything needs a sign, but... Jay struck you as extra beautiful? That's great. That's true. Some moms get it. I don't think... sadly, Mel's mom was among them. Based on how Mel has just... how Mel has shared other stories of trying to explain memes to her. What was I looking for? Oh, right. I want to make item frames, so I need to find the leather. She tries. Yeah. And that's what makes it sweet. But there are also just some memes that are just incomprehensible. Like, I did not understand Gen Z's deep fried memes at all. And that's when I knew I was old. Like most brain rot memes? Yeah. So here's what I was thinking for this one. Was kind of alternating these, and then item frames like that and putting these like this. Absurdist humor. Yeah, I mean, memes are really Dadaism, just in a fresh coat of paint. I mean, if you look at the early Dadaist art, you know, this is not a pipe, fountain, you know, things like that. You're like, yeah. This is not going to work quite the way I wanted it to. Because here's the problem. Because of the way Minecraft calculates space, I cannot place an item frame here because there's this. So I think what I'm going to do is I will... Okay, I can do that. So what I'm going to do... I'm going to reverse this so that it'll match. Because then I can put an item frame there, there, and there. And I can just put trapdoors there and there. And it still works. Yeah, treachery of images. I forget how to say it in the French. It's this is pipe. Marguerite. I love Marguerite. There we go. That looks like a little up kiosk stand you'd find at a mall. Which, let's face it, is basically kiosk knickknacks. So I guess I could actually even put 2 item frames there. So that's what I'll probably do. So now we need to figure out what random knickknacks go in there. Ceci and this plus un pipe, which I'm sure my pronunciation was terrible. I've never studied French. Oh, you know what'd be funny? Shoes? I could put shoes in there. What kind of shoes? Should I put leather shoes? Iron shoes? I think iron shoes. Put in. The grocer will have an apple. Ender pearl. Why not? Lead. What junk do I have? Ooh, why did I make... I can put golden boots in there. Why did I make boots? French is... Everything I say about a language that says 420s. Yeah, it'd be like that. Sure, an ominous bottle. Bit of string. I wanted to learn French because that was an option my high school gave, but then when I got to high school, they took away the French option, and I was like, oh. Oh, I don't have enough characters. I need an R. Because I want to make a joke like the finest knickknacks and curios beyond the nether. It's Spanish, German, Latin, and French. Pick Spanish because it seemed the most useful. That's fair. Just the finest knickknacks and curios, I guess it is. But I thought, why not put a sign in there? But I like this because it kind of implies that these are like storage boxes that might have other interesting things. Okay, we're gonna need 2 more knickknacks. Why don't we go back to the main base, see what we can find. Sesame Street Trot, French, not Spanish. I mean, I guess in some parts of the world, Sesame Street teaches English. Yeah, I got away with not having to learn a language in college because when I switched from engineering to philosophy, they would take all the engineering credits as science credits and count it as a bachelor's of science. So I didn't have to get a bachelor's of arts in philosophy. Honestly, some of the best news of my life. So you're a scientific philosopher? That is a thing. I actually did take a class on it. Studied Karl Popper. Pufferfish. We also studied Bayesian inference. Which works, but only because Bayesian inference works. It's a bit of a non-starter, really. It's basically the more likely something is, it will make it more likely in the future kind of thinking. It hurt my head, and it's a application of a particular sort of system of mathematics and probability that works, but basically only because Bayes said it worked and made it work. Do I have a fishmonger stall? Maybe that's what the missing stall should be. Too early. T to you too, Brayherd. T to you too. Regret not taking Latin now that your faith's solidly important. I mean, yeah, but the nice thing is that Spanish, being a Romance language, can work kind of backwards. I don't think 3 p.m. has ever felt this early. That's valid. Wish she knew Latin more. That's fair. Small place, but a good place to start is honestly just learn the names of documents in Latin and how they translate. There we go. Little knick-knack stand. Start your first caffeinated beverage of the day. Usually you're on number 3 by the time you get a stream notification. That's a lot of caffeinated beverages, but then again, I drink like one every other week, so... I like how that looks from the outside, too. Took 2 years of Latin in high school. Your vocab's still pretty good, but I've forgotten all of the grammar. Yeah, I couldn't. I have a hard time with declension-based languages. My brain just does not grok them. I'm much more reflexive and intuitive language driven. So Ethiopian was actually, I don't want to say easy, but it was easier than Latin and Greek to me. Hey, Mel's redeemed a father joke. You know, it's Christmas time. Lots of people are going to places like Build-A-Bear Workshop to get a toy for their child. You know, and that's great. That's wonderful, 10 out of 10. But I'm a little suspicious because Build-A-Bear Workshop, it says their bears are stuffed, but I've never seen them take a bite of anything. And we got an Invisalign priest. Boo! Yeah, that's the appropriate response. I don't know about the Latin to know it's similar or different. So a reflexive language like English, word order matters. Like where you put something in the sentence determines what it does and what it means. So like you have to have subject, verb, object, like in that order for it to make sense. You know, I can't say ball Timmy through because that just would not make sense. Whereas in Latin and Greek, declension-based languages, you change the ending of a word to give it a different form. So like OS in Greek, Omicron Sigma, is what's known as the nominative declension. It is saying this is the subject. And then you have your verbs, and you have different endings on the verbs, much like Spanish. You can have. Now I can only think of ser and estar, which are abnormal, but you know, you can have your soy, your estamos, your different endings that indicate, you know, is this plural, is this singular, what first, second, third. And then the objects have their own ending as well. And because of that, you can put the words in any order. And so word order is more used to emphasize what's important in the sentence. Like usually what's first is most important in the sentence, or really what the author wants you to focus on. So you can have a sentence that in English you might say, Jimmy threw the ball, whereas in Latin and Greek you can perfectly write it out as ball through Jimmy, Jimmy ball through, Jimmy threw ball. And like all of them are going to make the same sense, but the emphasis is going to be different. No, I don't have the heart of a teacher. I don't know what you're talking about. 316 ounces of Monster Rehab. My goodness. Brayherd Freyr, please, for the sake of your heart, please. Want to learn Latin so bad, so I know what's going on during the Mass. That's fair. That's tricky because if you pick up just like a Learn Latin book at a bookstore, it's going to most likely be classical Latin, which is different from ecclesiastical Latin, and they are largely similar, but there are some nuances and differences that make it hard. $3.16 ounces is a cutback. Oh my goodness. Well, I hope that progress continues for the sake of your heart. So for the Glacier, I'm thinking, honestly, just having like two large canes, one on each side, being like, this is what we do. And then just basically having a simple counter and being like, what? Look at our work. Maybe I'm wrong, but in seminary, do you learn both the ordinary and the extraordinary form? Nope. You do. Most seminaries do not teach the extraordinary form. I have never learned the extraordinary form, nor have I ever celebrated it. Some seminaries might, but, you know, you kind of learn about the history of the Mass, and so you learn the history of the Tridentine Mass, for sure, and, like, its historical role. But you know, because there are, you know, there's continuity, there's connections, so. Had to figure out Latin as seminarian friend's Christmas card. One short line, but I did better than I thought remembering specific words and picked up on to get the translation. Hey, very nice. Maybe I should... I think I need to have something framing these, so they're not just like floating. Where are those acacia planks? There they are. I mean, some seminaries you might learn both. The seminary I went to, we did not. But I can't speak for every seminary because I have not been to every seminary. And I think I'm okay with that. Once was a wonderful experience, but once was also enough. 9 a.m. Monday and 4 channels I adore live. What is this? Well, it's a Wednesday. It's Wednesday, my dudes. Sheesh. Mel, I think you cooked. Go back to bed. Sir Amos, pro invention. Couldn't read his handwriting. Well, that sounds about right. Yep. Ora pro nobis, ora. Yep. So that's how it's like Spanish, you know. It ora. It's the same. Oremus. You know. So the way that it's like We pray, I pray, you pray. Works the same way. CSP stands for Congregation of St. Paul. It is the post-nominals of my religious community, that better known as the Paulist Fathers. We were founded in 1858, right here in New York City, by servant of God Isaac Hecker. He and his companions were all converts from Protestant backgrounds, and they saw a beauty in uniting American culture with the Catholic faith. This mid-19th century, very strong idealism, but still. And so our mission is to evangelize North America, particularly through means of modern technology. So things like this. And yesterday is the founder's birthday. 1819, so 205 years since his birth. But we run the largest Catholic publishing company in North America, called Paulist Press. We were the first order of priests founded in North America. So we've staffed parishes, campus ministries, special ministries around the country and around the world. Interestingly enough, we served in South Africa for a while. The moon has phase, I'm afraid. It has singular phase. Yeah, Hecker was a very interesting person in many ways, and I have a deep love of him. As part of why I'm a Paulist, honestly, is because I kind of found out about him. I was like, wow. Yeah, I mean, the Paulist Press was established in the 1860s. He would preach on lecture circuits that were normally just secular speakers, but he would preach them in a way to speak to a secular audience, and kind of encounter them and be like, hey, look, there's more to life. So that was the Lyceum Circuit, is what it was called. We used to do these things called... We'd call them a trailer mission, because what it was is guys would get together in like groups of 2 to 4, and they'd travel across the country, and they'd just have like an Airstream trailer, and they'd show up in a town and set up kind of in like a field or something, and they'd preach a mission there. And the trailer itself was actually a traveling chapel. And like the side would come down and there was an altar, and they'd preach from there, do masses, and they'd engage in open conversation and dialogue. And again, remember, this is like 19th, early 20th century that this is being done, where it's like there's a lot of hostility between Protestant and Catholic circles, and they were kind of stepping into the middle of it and saying, hey, let's actually talk it out. Let's dispel some of the myths. Let's talk about what we actually believe. Let's find common ground so we can, work together for the good of our world. So, and again, in the 19th century, practically unheard of for a priest to like engage in that kind of dialogue and discussion with Protestant circles. I heard we evangelize particularly through memes. I mean, I would never use a meme in anything that I would do. Yep, forerunners of ecumenism. In fact, a Paulist priest was a member of the founding group of the Secretariat or Dicastery for Ecumenical Dialogue of the Vatican. And the USCCB, as Kit pointed out, he didn't found the USCCB technically, but he founded the thing that became the USCCB. So he was essential in it. If memes can get people interested in fandoms and nothing else, why not religion? Exactly. That's why there's a memes page on my... That's the real reason there's a memes page on my Discord. Nah, it's just there to share good, funny memes. What was I doing next? So yeah, I recommend looking up the life of Isaac Hecker. Got a little awkward after his life. He got accused of a heresy that he did not espouse and we did not espouse. It was basically there was this French version of one of his books, and a French priest wrote a foreword to it that basically was like, yes, Hecker would have loved the French Revolution and would have supported it, and kind of to a radical extreme. And it was like, no, you're putting words in our mouths. Nope, stop. Please stop. I feel like we've made good progress on the market for today, so I want to transition to working on the circle, on the square circle. So all the calcite I have? I thought I picked up more. Means you're funny stuff about shooting me Tucker. No, bad prayer. You have a lot of people who work on the world. My mods have access to this world. I know Brayherd has a little base over by the door, and then Step Zero is working on a monastery that way. I don't think Gale's logged onto the world because I don't think he remembers his password for Minecraft. But most of this is, it's all me. In fact, this whole church, I can say, I built the entire thing. How long did this take? I think I estimated it as taking 25 hours, I think, but I've got to like actually go back and look at the tapes because I did most of it on streams. Not all of it, but I did a lot of it on stream. And yeah, it's all in survival mode. So like there's a desert north of here that is just a giant pit now because of all the sandstone I needed. All right, I gotta look up a circle. Okay, I know we determined how big this was, but I don't remember now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So it's 22 wide. So 22, looking at this chart, it's should be 6. So 1, 2, 3, much. Then how does this go? It goes 2, 2, 1, 2, 2. Okay, that's actually a pretty easy pattern. I thought it was 20. Well, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So it's 22. And we can test that really quickly, because if I do it this way, yeah, it's 22, because that lines up perfectly. And this is actually a really easy pattern to remember. I think when I said 20 the other day, it was maybe... Uh-oh. Where did I screw up? Oh, I see where I screwed up. Okay. That was maybe the inner, not including the edge. Because that would be 20 plus. Familiar St. John Eudes. I have heard the name. He founded a religious community, didn't he? That's about all I've got off the top of my head. I know I've heard the name. And it's kind of one of those names where it's like, I don't have a lot committed to memory, but I'm sure if I read more, I'd go, oh yeah, I've heard that before. Franciscan Media has a really good summary on different saints. But I think he's one of those founders, because some founders, you know, it's like the Benedictines, like St. Benedict, great. Franciscans, St. Francis, great. There are some communities whose founders, like the community doesn't take on the name of their founder. And so you get like St. John Eudes, and gonna be attempting reading through a book of his that a priest friend of mine sent as a PDF, but I want to know a little more about him beforehand. That's fair. And yeah, sorry. Thank God for the internet. You know, like there's some communities, you know, the Redemptorists, their founder, Alphonsus Liguori, who is actually my community's grandfather because all the founders were Redemptorists first. Okay. I think I want to fill in the calcite circle 1 to make it kind of like a thicker ring like the gray is on the outside. But I like how that's looking. Founded the Congregation of Jesus and Mary. Yeah, and then sometimes you get communities from our perspective where, like, in America, it's like, well, we haven't really heard much about them because they don't really have a presence in America. What I'm personally fond of is the Chameleons. But very few people have heard of... They've heard of Camillus de Lillis, but... the Chameleons as a whole, they're like, the what? Alright, time to go get more calcite. You don't actually know who the Franciscans founded it is until you establish which Franciscans you're talking about. Well, that's also fair. Does the color of habit change for chameleons? Badum-tish. They're actually the reason the Red Cross as a symbol is a thing, because their habit is a cassock and a cape, each with a red cross on it. Technically, our territorial parish in Rome is Camillus de Lillis. Parishes in Rome get really complicated, though, because we're a non-territorial parish, but our actual physical territorial parish is Camillus de Lillis. Lovely little church run by the Camillians. John Ewan's got the plague, but he survived. She turned me into a newt. I got better. Yeah, there are definitely some saints that when their feast day comes up, I have to do a refresher. Because I like preaching on the lives of the saints. It's that hole. I keep falling. That's like the third time on stream I've fallen through that hole. Start a religious order of sisters I've never heard of. That also happens a lot. I think historically a lot of that happens because a lot of women's communities tend to be more local in their ministry. You know, obviously not so much today, but you know, talking like 1400s to 1800s. Whereas men's communities tended to be more on the move, unless they were monastic themselves. And even then, that's not always a guarantee. There are many instances in our church's history of itinerant monastic preachers. The Irish monks who evangelized mainland Europe, as an example. It's just a charity of refuge. Well, there you go. So, that is a very powerful and important ministry. I have to be extra careful about the time today because I have staff meeting right after this, so I cannot dilly-dally at the end. Yes, Orange, we hear you. You have a pumpkin. That's his favorite toy. Tell staff we say hi. I will. Hopefully they're all here. A couple of them got sick recently. It's like, oh no. At least they're not sick on Christmas, I guess. Having a staff meeting is better than having a staff infection. You're not wrong. I actually really like our staff meetings. I love working with the staff of Busted Halo, and they're good people, and we have meetings that are both fun and efficient. You know, I have been in other staff meetings in my life, which are a bit more of an exercise in patience. Hi from all of you by name. I don't think we have that much time in our staff meeting. Especially if I go down the list of all 367 followers. Hey, you got the Busted Halo Christmas card. That's great. Thank you for your support. Okay, there we go. We got that ring done. So, just the frequent flyers. That's still a lot of names. Okay, so now I need to start working inward. I think next maybe a layer of polished diorite like that. Yeah, it's a really nice ornament this year. I mean, it's always a nice ornament, I think. But I especially like the colors of this one. Okay, so now I need polished diorite. Hypnosis holding you down. That's valid. I have not had a chance to add the new ones to the wheel. It's been a busy couple of days, I'm afraid. But actually, here, I want to do something. So one of the candies that Britt sent me is Archie McPhee, which I already have a history with. This one's labeled possum flavored. Possum flavored. Yeah, now it's a channel point redeem. I'm going to smell this, and that's going to determine what happens to this box. It tastes like me. That's horrifying. What does that mean? And I can't find any description online of what this is actually supposed to taste like. So I'm sweet, tasty, savory, gamey. That's no. You've tried it. Well, I'm glad. Well, it doesn't smell as bad as I expected. I still don't trust it. It smells kind of like a sweet smokiness. It can stay for now. It will go on the wheel. We'll give it one shot. It wasn't furry, but, you know, after the macaroni and cheese one... Oh, no, I need andesite. I don't have any more andesite. And what did you think of the possum-flavored one, Britt? I won't give you any descriptions to reserve the fun, but I assume you noticed the "I'm sorry" note on. Well, I thought that was just for the brand. Archie McPhee also has this, like, consistency and taste to their sugar that's just off. That's on all of their things. And that does not help. It's not... It is very clearly designed to be a cheap novelty, not an actual candy. So they've clearly cut some corners in the process, and I can't even fault them for that. The ketchup pickle possum. Yeah, I've had the ketchup, I've had the pickle one. You picked the weird as well. Fair dinkum. Salt diorite. We're looking for andesite. Which is that? This is a nice big andesite deposit. Let's see, I've had the mac and cheese candy canes. Those were bad, but the only one I can stomach of the ones I have tried is the bacon flavored one. And it's not good, but it doesn't make me actively retch. Not actively retching, a sign of quality. Well, when it comes to the candy wheel. That should be enough to do this next layer. You need your actual thoughts on this one before you put it on the wheel. Oh, no, it'll go on the wheel. Don't worry. I've tried... I guess it's safe to say I've tried worse for the wheel. There's always the sour pickle ball. That was truly the worst. You know, when I first started the candy drawer, I was worried about, what if a mouse gets in there or bugs? You know, nothing's gotten in there. I wonder why that is, and I wonder if I should take that as a warning sign. Anyway. Mice are smarter than that. Hey, wait a minute. It's specifically for weird candy. It's not necessarily that it's bad. A lot of it's bad, but it's not necessarily bad. There are some things on the wheel I genuinely like. Like, Pulparindo is one. Enchilocas is okay. I do like the sour candy, like the super sour candy that's on there. Even if it hurts. But then again, I really like sour candy. Too many of those sour candies in a row can be a problem, though. And the bag specifically warns you not to have more than one at a time. What about the Bean Boozled? I think those are a little too gross out for what I want. A lot of my candies are the Archie McPhee aside, because that is sold as a novelty with a bit of gross out, but a lot of them are sold as meant to be consumed, but are also still just weird. Yeah, I saw Bree on her channel. She did the Bean Boozled thing for her 24-hour stream, and it was just like, oh, honey. Yes, it all started a little over a year ago. I don't even remember how I found out about them. It was from another content creator, I'm pretty sure. It was candy corn. It was Fall Festival candy corn. And some of the flavors were fine. There was like one that I would actually say was good, but there were a couple that were actively bad. Like there was one that was meant to taste like funnel cake. Got 3 bad in a row. Oh no, Bree, I'm so sorry. But one of them, the funnel cake, the best way I could describe it is like, you know how in a place where there's a deep fryer, oil gets on the walls and then dirt and stuff kind of builds up on those walls? It tasted like how that looked. Is the best way I can describe it. So I kind of like this calcite separated by a single layer of gray. I kind of want this area to be one big circle, one big color. But what color should it be? Like, should I go straight into the dark of the cobbled deep slate, or should I do a layer of like polished andesite or diorite? I just placed down andesite. I always get the names of those two mixed up. gonna block something out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Okay, so that's a 32 wide. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. So that works out well, because this is 32 wide at the top bar. So I'm thinking of putting down a layer of the polished andesite around here. Can you visually show the options? Well, I guess one would be the calcite here. Another would be this one here. The polished diorite would be this lighter gray here. Because in many ways, as this is a square connected to the church, I want to use a very similar palette, but I want to expand the palette a little bit to make it more visually interesting. I think you should just go and buy the Pachow for yourself, Britt. It's actually legitimately good. I do like Pachow. The polished lighter gray. This one? Yeah? Okay. How's the cola flavor? It's a very old school cola flavor, so very like cherry heavy. In the brightness of the sun, there's not much difference, but that's okay. So I think as we... Yeah, as you move out, there's difference. So they're cutting concrete outside my apartment. I'm scared to look. Valid. Okay, so let's make this circle. So it's 3, 1, 2, 1. 3, 1, 2, 1. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 1, 2, 1. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 1, 2, 1. All right, we did it right. I feel like I've gotten very good at making circles in Minecraft. Like memorizing the patterns and being able to rotate them. Is this a skill I can put on my resume? Can rotate circles. There we go. It looks a little off because the circle uses the top bar of the crosses, but I think once it's filled in, it will look better. Yeah, so I like the idea of this lighter gray, and then this is going to be the base of the fountain. The fountain walls itself might be built out of something different, but I like the base being that the polished cobbled deep slate. Copper? No, copper's too much of a pain because it's super orangey, and also you have to wax it, otherwise it will turn verdigris. I'm not really a fan of copper in Minecraft. Brass? Brass doesn't exist. Green might not be bad for ordinary time. Yeah, we get a really short ordinary time coming up soon. Gonna just... Again, this may not be the actual color of it in the end, but... if I'm gonna fill this in... Invisalign priest. We can make him black. We can make him white. We can make him blue. The hard part's going to be getting the coal. That's just going to be a time-consuming thing. I'll try to do some of that off-stream. That's looking good. I want to put some dirt down, because I actually want to put in trees in the circle. But first, we're going to take a quick break. I need a quick bio break. We'll be right back. So don't go away. All right, we are back. Thank you for your patience. So I'm thinking we'll place dirt at each of these. That way when we have this whole thing leveled out, we can actually build like a little planter around it and put in a tree, probably like an oak. That way we have a couple little shaded areas in the courtyard. Gravel. Alright, calcite. A lot of travel back and forth. I really should maybe put a nether gate over here as a fast travel. I mean, it's not like it's a long walk, but it's just long enough. Ow. There's some diorite. There's some more. A wee bit more. We can... wee bit... still. Just make sure I didn't miss any. Of course, my mines are so deep and actually do run out almost. We do this. You can see this is some of the mining I've done. It almost reaches to the church. So I could just keep building that tunnel. I need a elevator. Not gonna have enough to finish this today, but this gives us a good simulacrum. Like, this is what it will be height-wise with the fountain. Like, I'm gonna probably use like stairs or something to kind of bury the edge a little. But either way, and then there'll be like a central column with a basin flowing out into the main basin. So I think that's gonna look really cool. And I feel like we made good progress on the circle today and on the marketplace. But I think that's where we're gonna call it for the day, because I got a meeting to get ready for. So thank you so much for tuning in to Let Us Play. I've been your host, Father Evan. It's been good to be with y'all today. Hope y'all have a great rest of your day. 1 week to Christmas. Join us again tomorrow for Throwback Thursday. We've got Freddy the Fish and Pajama Sam on the docket. And then the next stream will be the 30th. Because I will be aboard a boat next week. And I cannot stream from a boat. Also, I'm on vacation. So you know what? I'm going to enjoy it. I will miss stream, though. I miss y'all. I will miss y'all. But yeah, thank you so much for tuning in, liking, sharing, subscribing. I will say hi from all of you at the staff meeting. Don't worry. Thank you to everyone who checked out the Discord, the YouTube, and I hope you have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you tomorrow. Why don't we see who's live to raid into? We have a brand new canvas of opportunities at this hour. People I've never raided, maybe. Gonna send you on over to Cordero Catolico. He's it means Catholic lamb. He is a programmer in Spain. He's lived in America for a little while, though. He's currently making a really cool rosary app that's very interactive and community focused. Like, not just, oh, I pray the rosary, but like a way of like seeing others having prayed the rosary and building each other up and praying for intentions together. So, you know, go check him out. Raid call will be Father Raid as usual. Just spam that meat morp if you've got it, and go give Cordero some love. Take care, and God bless.